So team, welcome to this HP ALM live training. So previously we have done on the quality center, but this is more of the latest version of the quality center, which is known as ALM application lifecycle management. So I kind of probably took a little bit beyond and said it's a mandatory skill, but if not mandatory skill, it's kind of an important skill that everybody who want to become a software test engineer, because for as part of their overall testing strategy and testing activities, all the artifacts are going to be maintained here. So that's the kind of punchline that we have given. Let's look at the agenda for today. So we're going to understand a little bit more detailed introduction to HP ALM QC. As some of you are saying, is it somehow related to QC or what is this and all? I'm getting it. So I'll try to address that. Yeah, so that question will be answered. Do we need to know quality center before we learn ALM? So all the kind of things I will try to address it in today's orientation. Then we'll go more detail about what exactly the ALM itself, the application lifecycle management itself. What are the advantages of using the ALM over the traditional quality center, and what kind of differences you will find it there, and what are the two major components of ALM and QC, and then who will be using the this product, ALM QC product, and what kind of prospects of learning this ALM for the kind of market to get the jobs, like basically how the market for the HP ALM software itself, and then definitely I'll give good amount of time for Q&A. So overall, this is the agenda. We should be able to complete in 40-45 minutes from now. Okay, so if at all you have not seen the screenshot, this is a typical project screenshot of an application lifecycle management tool. Okay, what is ALM is all about? So as most of you are saying, this is from the HP, and previously you might have heard about quality center. Before that it was test director and all that. So quick little history of this one is like they started with something called test director way back 15 years back, and that was a Windows application where everybody used to install it on their machines. Then in test director around test director 7 or so, they converted this into a web application where you can install it on you don't need to install anything. Basically you can just browse through your server URL and you can access that. So until 11.0, or I would say until 11.0 came into picture, they were calling it as quality center. And the same, guys can hear me? Is the sound clear? Rest of the folks? Like someone is complaining. Probably if it is with only one. So please check yourself. I think rest of the folks can hear me. Okay. So when the quality center, typically what was the purpose of the quality center? Was it more of a test management tool? So when I say what is more of a test management tool, right from the requirements are finalized, requirements have been approved until the project goes live. So starting from requirement stage to the design stage, wherein you do the test plan and test strategy, and then you go to build phase where you write your test cases, and then you go to testing phase where you actually divide the test cases among your testers and execute them, and if they find any defects, logging those defects, and on a day-to-day tasks like generating the reports and graphs. This was a pretty much scope of quality center until quality center 10.0, if somebody has seen my previous sessions or through any other way. But what happens in application lifecycle management is it's not just about a test management tool. It goes beyond the test management to the complete application management. What does that mean? Again, you can maintain your requirements, you can maintain your design, you can maintain your code also, and you can maintain your test execution, and even you can take to the steps of deployment. You can configure your environments, and you can see in which environments you wanted to deploy the pre-production environments and the production environment. So in a way, it takes care of your software testing solution. It was a software testing solution until ALM came into picture, but this has been modified or enhanced to help you to define your build, test, as well as deliver applications in a faster way. So basically your entire SDLC is covered in the application lifecycle management. So that's the enhancements that they have done over Quality Center. If somebody has a question like, do I need to know Quality Center before doing this? If you already have knowledge, if you have watched some videos, or if you have already done it through it, that's well and good. But otherwise, the ALM itself, I'm going to deal with in depth, considering those Quality Center concepts as well as the new enhancements into the ALM software also. So, but what we're going to do out of this one is, like, I've already done a recent Quality Center session. So those videos will be available to you post orientation. Once you complete your basic formalities and all, you can actually watch them. So if you watch them, it will be kind of, you're already onboarded one step, and we can easily take you to the ALM features. We can focus more on ALM features compared to Quality Center features. But otherwise, I will be covering both Quality Center plus ALM features in the ALM software itself. But if you get a chance, the kind of suggestion is you should go through those Quality Center videos. It will help us in landing it smoother when we go for ALM. Okay, what are any questions so far? The ALM introduction about it. So kind of explain the history. It started with the test director and then moved to Quality Center. When it was test director, it was only test management with only kind of test execution and defects. Later on in Quality Center, they added requirements also. Now in ALM, entire application lifecycle. Basically, what we can track through ALM is, like, how many releases that we have planned ahead, and what is the release starting date, release ending date, right? And then we can talk about requirements of the project, and then we can talk about the test plan, and then who's going to, who is writing the test cases, so the test case writing details, and then who's going to execute those test cases, and on which builds they are going to execute. So build numbers and all, you can track it. And once they executed it, if there are any failures, they can log the defects. So entire SDLC part will be covered here through release details and everything. Any questions in the ALM introduction? Okay, what are the components of ALM? So as like Quality Center, there are two major, just excuse for this screenshot, this is a little older one. I could have provided the ALM itself. So we have two major components. One is called the site administrator component and the ALM component itself. So typically what happens is managing all the projects, managing all the users, all the domains in a company, then how to configure those sites, and how the projects are getting used by the different people, analysis of those sites, and if a new version of ALM comes in, upgrading those new version of the ALM, then basically if any member leaves the organization, removing the credentials or access for that user to the project, and if any project goes on a shelf, for example, if it is not very active, making it as kind of, we call it as, it's not a delete, basically it's not a remove, it's something like you can temporarily deactivate that project, and when it comes back again you can reactivate that project. But when I say delete will be something like permanently you will delete a project. So all these kind of activities are done by a Quality Center administrator or ALM administrator. So quick recap of what you can do is, when a new domain comes to an organization, creating the domain, a new project comes into an organization, adding the project. If a new member joins in the organization, adding the user, setting the password for him, configuring these websites, checking the analysis of those websites. If a new version comes, upgrading it to the new version. And suppose, let's say there is a next project under domain A for some org change. Now that project has been moved to domain B. So then moving that project from domain A to domain B. So all those kind of activities are done by ALM administrator or site administrator. The second one is something called the actual ALM software, where you can see the typical screenshot. That's how it looks like. You have something called a dashboard, wherein you can see the public and private reports and graphs, followed by management, where you can do your releases management. When is the release going to start, when it is going to end, and how many cycles we are going to do within the release. Then followed by requirements category, followed by the testing category. Then we have a test plan category, and then followed by the defects category. So this is where you as a test engineer, every test engineer is going to work on it. So you will be right from, your test lead or test manager will kind of create the requirements once they are approved in the project. And you will be going through each of those phases of understanding those requirements, creating the test cases, tying up the requirement with the test case for the traceability purpose, then writing detailed test cases for different types of testing like functional, non-functional testing for your project. Then you go about executing them when the build is ready, and if you find any defects, logging those defects with the proper severity, priority, with the proper screenshot and repro steps and everything. So, and you can keep on checking your status on the day-to-day basis, as if like you check your emails on daily basis. You should check your status of the project also on the daily basis, like how many test cases I have to execute more today, how many defects I found them yesterday, how many defects are assigned to me, reassigned to me for my verification. So you will be doing all that through the dashboard, in which you can generate your own reports and graphs, and you can just keep on refreshing them to see the status of daily work activities. The second component is the one where you're all going to work as a test engineer, even up to test lead and test manager. But who will be taking care of quality center administrator is most of the companies now, at least who have, even if it is a single quality center or multiple quality center or ALM servers, they are coming up with a job called ALM administrator. So exclusively they are hiring ALM administrators because the software is becoming day by day very complex to manage. So you will find some jobs called ALM administrators or quality center administrators. So those people will be working on it. Some companies, very senior managers, test managers, or some very good senior technical people from the test side, they will be taking care of. I will be touching up that also, Vijaya. So the senior. So the question was, what are the other test management tools other than ALM QC? So at this moment, I can think of one another tool that is coming up or picking up very fastly is called Microsoft Test Management Tool, Microsoft Test Manager Tool. So if you have installed Visual, it's called MTM, Microsoft Test Manager. That is also pretty much in line with Quality Center ALM tool, wherein you can maintain all the test artifacts, maintaining them, configuring the builds and everything. That is definitely one thing. And Jira, you can do that. And then you have Rational Manager, IBM tool called Rational Manager tool. So there are 3-4 another set of tools that are very good. But this is something where the market, or if you see the job market, it is pretty good. Bugzilla is mainly for bugs only. So not for the complete test management as such. So we are talking about complete test management thing. So so Quality Center, MTM, IBM Rational Manager, even Sequest Silk Manager was one of the tool. I have not really seen in the recent past how far it has grown, but yeah. So Jira is one of the management tool that you can consider. Okay, so move ahead. So I was talking about who will be working on this, and that is some of the senior technical people from the test side will be taking care of the administrator job, because it's like a production environment. Giving an access to everyone will create a lot of mess. So I'm sorry. That's why some senior folks will be. I'm really sorry. Some senior folks will be taking care of the ALM administrator, and all the junior engineers, middle level engineers, and senior engineers will be working on ALM software for doing their day-to-day activities. Okay, move ahead. Okay, what are the prerequisites to learn the ALM. As I said, somebody was asking, do I need to know quality center and all that? I will assume you do not really know any of that sort. So I will be considering, I will be starting from the fundamentals of ALM. So we will go very in depth, but as I already told you, very recently, I think last month, I have done on the quality center 10.0. So you all will get access to those videos as well. So I'll post the second orientation. So we have a second orientation on coming 9th. So post that, if you get some time and watch those videos, it's more of explanation will be very easy when I do it for ALM. So take out some time to watch those videos. What is the difference between test management and defect management tools? When I say defect management, as the name is very self-descriptive, it's only for defects managing. It's only for logging the defects. It's like this. You have a typical defect life cycle, right? Suppose you find a defect. So what happens? You log the defect. Somewhere you need to log them. You need a tool to log them. Basically, we don't do. In the very olden days, we used to do it in Excel and all, but now what happens? You need some central repository, so you log the defect. After logging the defect, what happens? A defect triage will happen, wherein people will decide is it really a defect or not. Defect triage will happen. After defect triage will happen, it will be assigned to a developer, and then developer will fix the defect. The complete defect life cycle will happen through defect management tools like defect ID and all the steps. Yeah, so fix the defects, and then it will be assigned to a tester for verification. Then what tester will do, he will, if it is working, he will close the defect if it is working. If it is not working, he will reopen it. So these kind of steps happens through defect management tool. Reopen the defect. These things will happen in defect management tool, but we are talking about something very beyond just the defect management, right from requirements of the project, test cases, test plan, test cases, executing them, who is going to execute what, all that is maintained in ALM. Does that answer your question, Vijaya? Jasmine, please check your side because the rest of the folks can hear me properly. Okay. Sorry. So let's look at what are the prerequisites for learning this. So we are saying you should know some basic concepts of software testing. So we are saying you should know some of the basic concepts of software testing. I'm really sorry. So you should know some basic concepts of software testing, like what is a requirement. So I hope you all clearly understand what does a requirement means, or a user requirement means. When a customer gives, this is what I wanted to do, or you guys to implement in this project, you all will first understand the requirement. In today's world with the agile development life cycle, so people call it as user stories, but it's basically one and the same. So probably I could have updated this. I can do that post the session and put it. It could be user requirements or it could be user stories. And once you understand the requirements, then what happens? You will be preparing the test plan. So if you know what is a test plan and what are we are not going to write all the contents of the test plan. Here we are going to create a typical structure in the ALM. So I'll be showing you all that. So again, whatever we learn in the ALM, it will be through some project. So what we do, we pick up an application. We pick up typically a web application, a web project, and we'll do it through that. So I will be covering all that in detail, Sifa, like how do you know high priority, low priority of the test cases, everything. So when I'm talking, so for example, if one day's session is, let's say, on test cases, I will be covering every single field about a test case. What is a test case title is all about. what is basically the steps of the test case, preconditions of the test case, expected result, test data, what is the priority of the test case. So we'll go in very in detail. So that's what I'm saying. You should watch my videos of Quality Center, then you will get the detail in which we go. Much more detail we go in the ALM. Can we write a test plan using ALM? So what happens is, it's not exactly the same test plan what you write manually here. But in ALM, it's called test plan, which is typically a structure of how you're going to execute your things. So that is what is a test plan. But what we generally do is when we create the test plan structure, if we have already created a manual test plan, the document we can attach here. We can do that. But you cannot really do the similar way as you do it manually. The similar thing you cannot do it in ALM. ALM test plan meaning is slightly different. But definitely whatever you do it manually, the test plan you can attach it here. Jasmine, please check your side. So just keep on complaining. Probably I'll do one thing. I'll just put it over here for him. Okay. So that's what we are saying, that you should know the basic concepts of software requirements. You should understand test plan. You should understand test cases, and then you should understand what is a defect or a bug. Okay. So then we will, but otherwise also I will be dealing in detail what is a defect and what are the components of the defect, what is the title, what is severity, what is priority. We'll discuss in detail about each component of them. And there are different ways you can handle or the projects in your ALM. So if you know different SDLC methodologies, what I'm going to do, I will be majorly talking about two of them. One is definitely the typical waterfall model in which a project will be executed, and the latest what is most of the industries are using is called the agile methodology, agile or a scrum kind of a methodology. I will be keep on talking about these two throughout my session. So if you know these two, it's well and good. But otherwise, when I just talk about agile, I'll give a quick introduction about the agile methodology, and then we will go about writing it. Are you going to talk about today on BRD, FRD, and HLD? No. So this is today's thing is about only an orientation session. The next session, which we have it on 6th, we will be starting with FRD, basically requirements. I would not see, we are not going to write a BRD, FRD, HLD here. For testers to use the ALM software, you would already get a BRD from a business analyst. You would get an FRD from your project manager. You would get an HLD from your development team. Those details we are going to put it into the ALM software. That's what we are going to do from the test side. Sure. Okay, so you should have idea about software SDLC methodologies, but otherwise also do not worry too much on that. I will be covering it. If you have, like, as most of you are already saying about Bugzilla, Zira, Quality Center and all, if you have any idea about any of the defect tracking tool, like, it could be Bugzilla or Quality Center, just an added advantage, but again, not a mandatory at all. Assume that this is your first management tool, first test management tool. Start with a very fundamental level, then we'll go about doing the things in detail. How do we manage our defects, test cases, requirements, everything to it. Okay, who will be using, how long this course is? So basically what we're going to do is, today we are in the orientation session. 9th we have another first session, you can consider that, in which I will be introducing to the ALM software. I will be kind of showing you how you can create 1 or 2 requirements if possible. Then post that you will have some time to go through Quality Center videos, because that detail, I will be explaining it, but since we have already done it very recent in the last month, we are strongly encouraging to go through those videos for 4 or 5 days. so that you get an idea about how to understand the things. There are a lot of concept things that I have explained very in detail. You all will be getting it to the access of them, so you will go through them. Followed by, we have about a solid 8 or 9 sessions with 1.5 hours. With 1.5 hours, 90 minutes, we have planned for about 9 sessions. Normally, we have sessions for about only 60 minutes. That I did for quality center about 10 or 11 sessions. But what we are doing here is 90 minutes we are kind of taking care of for 9 sessions. Why we had to crunch it for 9 sessions and complete it in 9 minutes is this software license is going to expire. So I have installed this trial version which is going to expire in 30 days. So that's going to be expire on 29th of this month. So we need to do all that before. So typically, to answer your question, by 29th of this month, you will be done with everything on the ALM and quality center. So can we attend all the sessions for free? This is, I'm talking about people who get access to, who register for ALM, who kind of complete the administrative formalities for ALM. Those folks will be given my quality center videos. Is that clear, Vijay? Okay, let's complete it. Then Syed, I'll talk about installations and everything. Just give me 5 more minutes. Once we complete the whole orientation, then I'll take up all your questions. So who will be using ALM? Typically, anywhere the testing happens, anywhere the software application life cycles are managed. It could be healthcare industry, hospital and travel. It could be banking, insurance. Any software services companies, majorly if you see, they need some kind of an application lifecycle management tool, be it a HPALM or be it a Microsoft Test Manager or some other tool. They need a tool to maintain all these artifacts right from the day one of the project till the end of the project. Not only till the end of the project, even in the post implementation of the project. Sometimes, like being a senior level, like currently I'm close to a test manager level. So people keep on asking me different data from last year, last to last year. Some senior manager will come and ask me, hey, in the last FY14, can you tell me how many SEV1 defects found, how many SEV2 defects found, these kind of questions. So where can I get all the answers for these questions? I will have to go to my ALM software. See, even though there are so many tools available, I would say this is the one that is predominantly used. So that's why we have picked up for this one. So people keep on asking, can you dig out the data for me, data from last year or last to last year, how many severity 1 defects that we had, in the UAT when the users were testing it, things like that. So where can I get answers for all these things? I will log into the ALM software. I will connect to the corresponding project. Just run one report or a graph, I would get the data. So, and then moreover, in today's world, if you see, people are geographically dispersed. Like some of your developers may be sitting in US, some of the testers may be sitting in Singapore, and some other engineering team may be sitting in India. So we desperately need some tool which is centrally accessible for all the folks from all over the world, and it should be instant. For example, if I upload one test case, it should be immediately accessible by the other teams in the other places, and then they should start executing those test cases, things like that. So what is your question, Sefa? Are you going to show that to us? Yes. So that's what the whole tool is about. Right from tracking the requirements, generating the reports, graphs, everything will do it. What is the difference between QC and ALM? Since unfortunately, okay, I kind of explained Quality Center was only for the test management tool. It was mainly for the test management tool. What does that mean? Once the requirements are finalized, the locked requirements or freezed requirements, you can maintain them in the Quality Center. Then you can maintain your test plan, how you go executing about them. Then test cases, functional and non-functional testing, who will be executing what, then how many test cases passed, failed, and the defects for the failure ones. These kind of information you can maintain in Quality Center. And of course, you can generate reports and graphs out of quality center. So overall, I can put it in one word. It's called test management tool. Then what is ALM? It's much more beyond the test management. It is complete application lifecycle management. Right from a project inception stage, again, which is requirements of course, but we can also do track of how many releases we are planning for this. In each release, how many cycles we are planning for this, when is the cycle going to start, when it is going to end, then what are the finalized requirements. Again, keep repeating of those, repeating your test plan, creating your test cases, executing them, logging the results, manual automation, all that, even in quality center and here. Then managing your defects, reports, graphs. So it's little beyond the test management, which is application lifecycle management. So that's the difference between your quality center and ALM. Quality center is only for test management. This is, you can maintain the builds information also in the, I don't know how many of you heard about this, something called continuous integration and continuous deployment. This is a buzzword, or popular word in today's industry, basically in today's world in the software industry. CI stands for continuous integration, and then continuous deployment. So if most of the companies are working towards a goal where they wanted to have daily releases. I'm sure most of you might have heard about Agile, in which people tries to deliver the deliver the requirements to the customer on the weekly basis, or every fortnight, or it could be monthly releases, these kind of thing. But that is definitely the required in today's world, because customers wanted the things to be delivered fast. But companies are even moving, there are some projects in which they have to release daily. And if you wanted to release daily, you need a better mechanism for continuous integration and continuous deployment. Right from your source code is completed, being deployed, then there should be an automatic way of running your automation scripts and all that. Towards that, the ALM software helps in. Is it clear? So towards that, the ALM software helps in, whereas a quality center is not really. Okay, so there is a difference. Otherwise, we would have not talked about what is QC and what is ALM and all that. So who will decide releases, a tester or a lead? Definitely the project manager, release manager, not the test lead for sure. I believe most popular releases would be 2 to 3 weeks. It is right. In my case, we are following 4 weeks of release. So depending on the business need. So we are doing a monthly release. Will we be touching QTP also? See, the ALM software can be integrated with automation tools like QTP, load runner, API test cases and all that. So the question asked by Shri, in terms of mostly I'm expecting, if I'm a member using QTP as well as ALM, how to maintain my test scripts in the ALM. If the question is towards that, definitely we can address that. But it is not about QTP at all. So that is altogether a different tool. But yes, ALM software can maintain manual test cases as well as automation test cases. So throughout the course, initially we'll be dealing with all the manual cases, and in one session I can definitely show any automation case like QTP test case or a load runner test case or API test case. How do you maintain that in the quality center or ALM, and how do you execute that? We'll be talking about that for sure. Okay, this is just about a quick capture of salary by different roles in organization. This is for overall IT industry. You can actually neglect this, but this is more on the ALM. So This we have captured it from simplyhide.com, and you can see the trend over March 13th to this March 14th. It was very much peak during the October, even though it is a little bit reduced during the December. Now it's kind of picking back to what it was in October. So we cannot collect to ALM and QTP. No, we can integrate them. So there is an add-in. There is an add-in that is available. We need to have that add-in, and then we will be able to connect it between QTP, load, and another stuff. Okay, so this is about the prospects of learning the. This is overall software engineers side. Please don't focus much on this. It's nothing related to the ALM as such. It's the overall software, and I think the similar thing we have used it for many of the other sessions in terms of testing related courses. So I kind of added it over here. But anything that you have questions, you can ask me on this one. This is more of ALM 1, specific to ALM 1. Okay, but otherwise you can also have a quick look at that. So this is overall how the industries have been catered, like, you know, work for IT, ES and things like that. So fine. Okay, so these are some of the references that we'll be uploading this desk anyway in the IT-Learn website. So you can go to hp.com, where you can see the software from where you can download, and you can look at what is the other management software that they have and things like that. So with this, I will open it for Q&A. Then I'll definitely take all the questions that you have before we wind up for today's orientation. So as somebody was asking about installation, let me address that point, and then I'll go for any other questions that you have. So probably in the next session itself, I will be introducing to this software. Typically, if you wanted to install this ALM, you would need a Windows server. All this while I was trying to figure it out if I can do it on my laptop, even though I had a good laptop of 8 GB directly. So let me put all the requirements. So you should need a Windows server, then you need a SQL server, and then you need a machine which is minimum of 8 GB RAM. So then I had my laptop with 8 GB, not so commonly that everybody will have, but somehow I have an 8 GB RAM. So I tried spending some time installing it and all that. It was very difficult. So then what we had done is I went for a desktop. Which is much beyond 8 GB. So I took up something, a 16 GB one. Then I have allocated about, my understanding is as is tester, if I does not understand the requirement, how I'm going to test the application. You should definitely understand the requirement. Otherwise, you cannot test the application. Your understanding is correct, Sefa. You should understand the requirement. Then only you will be able to test the application. So what was your question? Did I miss anything in the previously? As a tester, you should understand the requirement. Yes, then only you can test it. No doubt about your comment. But what is your question? Okay, so what I've done is the laptops are something that is okay. I'm new in the software industry, and everyone keeps talking about SQL. Where can I get some details on it? Do you have any videos on that? Yes. So there are. So basically, SQL Server is a database. Every application will have a database. So it could be either SQL Server or it could be the Oracle. And all Microsoft technologies related front ends like .NET applications and all will use SQL Server. Java related applications will use Oracle. So we do definitely have, I think something on database testing we have, and SQL Server alone also should be there. So please check it on the technical forum. There are some videos. Okay, coming back to the installation of it. Are these system requirements mandatory? So Sangeeta, again, let me clarify one thing. So when I say live project, so in IT Learn, how we do it is, there are two things: live orientation and live project. In live orientation, or any tool that we deal, or any automation tool that we deal, or test management tool that we do, everything will be through a project. So here in all these sessions, the next whatever the sessions that we have, I will be picking up one project and I will only be explaining you. It's basically live orientation sessions through a project, but it's not a live project that you will be doing at your side and showing the status back to us. It's not that. Okay. But yes, so all these system requirements are mandatory if you wanted to install this one on your side. So you would need a minimum of 8 GB RAM, but even that 8 GB RAM, complete 8 GB I required for ALM itself, so I was not able to proceed. So I went little bit beyond that. Something I went for a 16 GB desktop. I could not do it on the laptop, so I went for a professional desktop. And in the desktop, what I did is, first I had to install Windows Server. Then I had to install SQL Server. And you cannot do all this in a virtual machine. Like I tried doing in the physical machine. I wanted to do all this in a virtual machine, create a virtual machine and try doing all that. Virtual machine can accept only up to 5 GB or 6 GB. So I cannot really allocate 8 GB. So I went out of that option of virtual machine. In the directly physical machine itself, I've installed Windows Server. Then I've installed Windows Server. Basically, okay, so the version that I went for is ALM 11.5.2. The latest that is available in the HP site is 12.0 with minimum changes. But since I have already started with this, I have continued because I've already installed Windows Server 2008. I've installed SQL Server 2008 on a 6. But if you wanted to go with the next version, you should directly go for 12.0. Would it be something similar to Windows 8 like we did it in? No. That's the whole idea, Balvinder. For Quality Center, I created a simple way of doing the things through a virtual machine and then we kind of install it, but you cannot do that for ALM. ALM, you need a dedicated machine. In fact, I have a professional desktop beside me right now, which I'm going to introduce to you in the next session, where I'm right now dealing it is on a laptop. My laptop is of hardly 4 GB or 8 GB. So I had to go for something much better than 8 GB. So I had to hire one desktop for this actually. So if you wanted to install 12.0, which is the only thing that's available on the website right now, but in real time what people are using is this one. So I will be dealing this and then I'll be talking about one or two new options that are actually what happens. 12.0, the HP team has to release it for supporting the Windows Server. So here where then you need to have Windows 2012 server, not like 2008. So you need to have Windows Server 2012 and you need to have SQL Server also 2012. And then again you need to have something much beyond 8 GB, minimum of 8 GB. So again, with my experience, even if you have direct 8 GB, it's not going to be much sufficient. Yeah, it's definitely I would not say it's a big headache, but I can tell you one thing. I will point to one blog or the kind of steps. If you follow that, you will be done. But the problem is hardware. If you have right hardware, you're all good. Definitely installation is not a headache. Let's not talk about that. But if we have, see, these are all something in real time. What happens is companies will maintain a separate server for that. And for training purpose, we need to do it on a laptop or something that we try to do it, which is not a good idea. Okay, let me complete the overall installation, then your question will be answered, Rizvi. Okay. So if you wanted to go with this one, this is the requirement. If you want to go with 12.0, these are the requirements. Either of the way, you need more than 8 GB RAM. So that is for sure. Now, once you do all this, right? So while going through it itself, you need to install the SQL Server 2000, first Windows Server 2008 or 2012, followed by SQL Server 2008 or 2012, and then you need to come to the ALM installation. Overall, if you consistently sit also, it's a process of 7 to 8 hours for sure, consistently. Okay, that is one thing. And even if you do all this, it's only a 30 days trial version. So that's why I'm kind of close these sessions by 29th of April because I have a limited edition. So it's only a 30 days trial version is what you get, obviously, right? So why would any company give beyond this? And moreover, since you're doing all this on a server, what can happen is that a server is a server. It will be sitting on a corner in an organization, and people will be connecting to that server through different client machines. But here what I was trying to do, I was trying to make this server to teach you also. Then typically in a server what happens, your network will not work. Net will not be there. So then I had to enable certain ports and everything to make, you know, when I say net in the sense browsing, typical LAN MAN connections will be there, WAN connections will be there, but I wanted to browse and go to meeting and then I have to talk about, so then I have to do a lot of things on network. Then typically in any server, audio is not encouraged to. By default, audio will not be enabled. Then I have to struggle a little bit of figuring out how can I enable audio, because I have to speak to you guys starting from the next session. So then I had to figure it out. So basically today I made my desktop, this server, like a typical laptop in which we do our day-to-day activities. But I'm really doubtful how many of you will be able to do all that. And even whatever you do all that, it's only a 30 days trial version. So there is a little bit of challenge with installation, but if you have right hardware, if anybody has this hardware, it's not at all a challenge at all. Okay, let me take some more questions that people are talking about. Can you uninstall and reinstall this ALM? After 30 days, it will expire. You cannot reinstall. If that is the case, HP will not get any business how they will sell it. So the only way you can do it is format your machine and install it again. Okay, there are some questions. From the planning to testing, there is some other step like design, development, but as a tester, when other was working on development step, I mean until to the testing phase, whatever we do. See, during the requirements phase, project manager will write FS or requirements. Those requirements will be given to both development team and testing team. Development team will understand those requirements and come up with the high level design, low level design. Testing team will come up with a test plan or test strategy. Okay, this happens in design phase of the life cycle. What are the deliverables in the design phase? Development team will come with HLD, high level design, LLD. They will also write something called technical specification, which technologies to use and all that. On the other side, testers are writing test plan, test strategy. Then project will go to a phase called build phase. In the build phase, developers will be writing the code. They will divide the whole project into modules, into units, and then they will be writing the code for each unit. They are not only for writing the code, they are also responsible for doing the unit testing. Okay. Whereas the testers, they will be writing test scenarios and test cases. So this is how it will go. Then the next phase is testing phase. So by the time the development team will complete the code and it will be handed over to the testing, that's when we will actually do the testing. How can we install Server 2008 and SQL Server? So again, you need to go to Microsoft.com, download.microsoft.com. You need to install, you need to download Windows Server 2008 or 2012, SQL Server 2008 or 2012, and then you need to install them. Then you're ready for ALM installation. What type of questions? We'll talk about all those ALM questions during the course, Rupa. Definitely there will be questions. So as a tester, we are involved in or not with those steps. Writing requirements and all, you will not be involved. Requirements will come from project manager or scrum master, whoever it is. But what is your job is understanding those requirements, reviewing those requirements. If you have any questions, raising those questions is your job. What does that mean, Vijaya? Like that's what I do when I work with Mercury QC even after the expiration. You will reformat and reinstall it is what you're saying, Vijaya? I think you're saying format and reinstall. That's what pretty much. So Vidya is saying, can we reinstall the server or do we have to? No, you have to format the entire system. So you'll have to start all over again from the first. That is again, you'll have to start Windows Server, SQL Server, then ALM. So why we are started in a very short time for this one is because all of a sudden I informed the IT/ALM team as soon as my installation got successful. I told them I just have 29 days in my hand to complete this course, otherwise software will expire. Again, I will have to do all these steps. So that's why we came up with this course in a shorter notice. You need to format the entire system first, then you'll have to start installing all that again. See, this is a trial version. Trial version is only once. It's not for again and again and again, right? So it's only for once chance. After that, you should take a I mean, as what HP expects is, after we're done with the trial, they would expect us, we'll go buy it. That's the whole idea of the trial version. And for training purpose, we'll have to do it. What do you do if you cannot? One second. Just hold on the questions until I complete the previous ones. I do not think I'll be able to install this software. Do you think that will be okay? Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. If so, okay, let me answer another question. So if I am not able to install, then how will I proceed? So what I can tell you is entire ALM, I will be walking you through the live training that you can attend. And as with my previous sessions for quality center, I did it with my previous folks. What I can do, I can give you the previous version of it, 10.0, that you can practice. That will not expire. Okay. So, and that is also much easy to configure it on your laptops, as some of you are there in today's session also. You have already done that in my quality center. You can create a virtual machine in your laptop, and I'm going to give you one VHT file. Just upload that file and you are done. So for practicing purpose, you can do practice on 10.0, but all the features I will be walking you through on the ALM. So you are still not stuck with practice. You can practice also. Do you do the installation in the cloud? So they are coming up with Lenora. HP team is coming up with that, but we have to wait for. It's already there, but the thing is they are not making it public. I spoke to HP team from London also. What they are saying is for training purpose and for one or two folks, or even for a big training organization like IT/ALM, they are not giving it now as a free, because when we go to cloud, they have to host one server for us and they have to support for us. So unless and until we give a guarantee to buy something, they are not giving us. So, but there is a roadmap to cloud. Very soon you will be, I'm sure HP will make it public, maybe in a no wonder in a couple of months they do, or a couple of years they do, I don't know, maybe next year. But path is already there, it's there in the cloud, but they are not giving it for public trial. Only for organizations they are doing it. How much RAM do we need? Minimum 8 GB. 8 GB alone for your ALM. So you need something beyond 8 GB, something like 12 GB, 16 GB would be a good one. What is virtual machine? Syed, I'll address that probably when I talk about quality center. Do you provide access to ALM tool? I cannot, Rupa. The thing is, you're sitting in US or somewhere, I'm sitting it here. It is in my home, my personal desktop that I did it. So I cannot give you access. So what I will be doing it is, for your practice purpose, I will be giving the previous version of ALM, that is something like 10.0 quality center. You can install it on your machines and you can practice. Nothing crazy, like, you know, you have attended my sessions, a little bit of extension to it, so it will be very easy that you will be cope up. That's why I'm encouraging everyone also to go through my my quality center videos, which we will be giving you some time to go through them. Please go through them once you're done with your formalities. Okay, so you're saying, Vijaya, that you will practice by changing the date and all. That's not the case with ALM, so they did not give the chance of that kind of situation here. See, that you are doing it in a virtual machine, so you're changing the date for that virtual machine and the physical machine, and it is working, but not the case with ALM. ALM, you have to format it. So rather, what I'm saying is, it's up to you whether you want to install it or not. I will give you all the steps. I will give you step-by-step approach. I will give you everything, but do you have the hardware? That is a question. So do you have a hardware which is supporting these things? If you have the hardware, I can help you the installations and everything. That is the first point. Directly with ALM we are talking about. I know the difficulties, so that's why what I am suggesting is go through entire live sessions, and then I will give you previous version of Quality Center that you can practice. Do you get my point? That's not going to expire, and that is easy to use it in your machine. So you can do that, but nothing stopping you. You can go and install ALM also, but do you have the hardware is a question. You need a hardware which will support Windows Server 2012, SQL Server 2012, and more than 8 GB of RAM. If you have that, you're most welcome. I'll give you the links from where you can download and install. You're good. Does that answer your question, Radha? Okay, so any other questions? See, this is basically Mac. We have not tried, and even in organizations, they go for Windows Server 2000 and that. So Mac, I'm very doubtful for the ALM. Let's not consider that because all majorly HP tools are correlated with the Windows. Is there any instructions for QC 10.0? How to, no, I will give that. 10.0, no worries at all. I have everything ready. I will give you one document, email, everything, Syed. You can set up probably in the next day itself. Yeah, it's SHANKER at itelearn.com. Shankar at itelearn.com. Okay. Fine. So, any other questions? So we have the next session on 9th. In 9th, what I'm going to do, I will be going more detailed introduction to ALM. I will introduce to the software itself. If possible, we'll do one or two things like creating a domain, creating a project in the administrator, things like that. So with a little bit more introduction to the detail of ALM, and then we'll get into the features of ALM using the ALM features and things like that. So that's all we have for today as part of the ALM orientation. Again, thank you all for taking your time out and attending this one. It's worth to attend ALM sessions if you are looking for a QA engineer job, because most of the companies are using some or the other management tool, and predominantly ALM is one of them. So with that, we'll hold on the session for today. The next session we have it on 9. So have a good evening, good morning, wherever you are from. Take care. Thank you.